So game 2 here now of the search between Neon Knights, that is their given name there. I keep saying No Keyboard because for some reason Breaky thinks that's their name. It might be open to some members of that team, but who knows. Anyway, game 2 here between NK and Sweet Like Ice. First game's up if you'd like to watch it. It's a pretty good demonstration of one team dismantling another, and you can probably guess who dismantled whom, because looking at the player names, of course, we've got some pretty solid stuff on the Legion side, but Hellborn is quite a lot better known, more well known. Who knows? Words and stuff and things. So, moving into game 2 here, hoping for a little better contest. You'll also notice Brodex 5 level is here, ringing for Sweet Like Ice. I don't believe he's actually on the team. He could be, who knows. But he's apparently not attached to anybody else for this cycle 10 of Diamond, as he's been bouncing around quite a lot. He was back with Xset for a while, and apparently that's not working out. They did, of course, officially disband. You know, he was with Xset before they left. He played for some other teams, and still trying to find a home, it seems. But Brodex is clearly committed to getting himself into some kind of competitive HoN. And that's good to see, of course. So hopefully he will stick around for a while, find himself a nice home on a good competitive team. Banning phase here, meanwhile, is Keeper of the Forest, Krenix, Warbeast, and Tundra. So 3 suicides, 2, it's sort of, his Keeper is a potential suicide, and Keeper and Warbeast both have jungle potential, so there's some of that coming out. Of course, Keeper much more often running the jungle. Tundra, the last ban for the Hellborn side, a little interesting there. I would guess that somebody on the Legion side likes to play Tundra a lot, but we didn't see that ban first game. He wasn't addressed at all, so I don't know if they're just wasting a ban there on purpose, or what's going on there, or if they have a plan, maybe. Who knows? But clearly, feeling that Tundra was worth a first-round ban. And we've just zipped through this picking stage. Ophelia, Rhapsody, and Bubble, so heavy magic damage here and lots of pushing from the Legion side so far. Of course, Oath, Rhapsody, and then Bubbles clear up creep waves quite a lot. So they will be able to take down towers relatively quickly. Be pretty good at pushing out lanes. The Hellborn side has some of that. Tempest Minions and Solar Wards will help them out, but not quite as much in my opinion, so a little advantage in that respect going to the Legion side. Of course, Hellborn does have an advantage, I think, a little bit in the team fight. Bubbles, Kelpfield, Rhapsody, Ult, and Ophelia's New Earth's Blessing they're all strong team fight abilities, but then there's Tempest Ultimate, which is probably the best team fight ability in the entire game. On top of the Poison Burst and Slither, of course, Pestilence not bringing too much to a team fight, but he will do some stuff. That Impel Stun, of course, especially if he gets done to multiple targets. In the meantime, we're going to the second stage of bans. Corrupted Disciple, Drunkard Master, Wretched Hag from the from the Legion side, Raxus, Soul Reaper, and Pebbles from the Hellborn side. So, looking like he's going to focus mostly on their short lane carries here for the Legion. A little interesting because I don't really have theirs yet, so really banning out heroes they could also use, and that's not really something I'm a fan of. So a bit of a curious decision coming out there from Fritz Bell on the Legion side as the drafter. Meraxis, Soul Reaper, and Pebbles. Of course, Meraxis and Pebbles, both dual laners, both pair very well with Rhapsody, so clearly looking to take out some of the mid-initiators that Rhapsody is able to help set up. For some reason, I always start yawning a lot when I do these, but it's because I'm tired. I'm having fun. But Soul Reaper, more of a short laner. He could theoretically run in the middle lane, but he wouldn't have that much kill potential with Rhapsody just because there's only one stun and no slowing that combination.
Kraken.
It is going to be a Kraken, so I would sort of expect it to be a short laner. It could be a mid hero as well. With the Staccato stuns, it might be a little easier to set up a charge. But we often see Kraken run solo because he just loves that experience. If he gets some levels on him, he can just do so much even without items. And of course, that's why we see him run as a suicide fairly often. So between Bubbles and Kraken, they have some pretty solid suicide options. And I would presume one of those heroes is going to be running that suicide lane. Of course, Kraken could be then either mid or bot, and Bubbles could be run mid. You could run a Bubbles bot, but usually run that in a solo lane, and it's probably not necessary to sort of waste it on Bubbles because Bubbles doesn't really need that solo short. But we'll see what they end up choosing to do. Hellborn side making their second pick here. And their options are still relatively intact. They've got Gemini, Moon Queen, Blitz is going to be their choice for support, so they have plenty of support options for that matter. And they're still presumably looking for, well, actually Asilier there. So they're actually presumably looking for Suicide, excuse me, so they will probably be their short laner with Pesty Blitz in middle, and that's a lane with plenty of kill potential, of course. Pilfering does a ton to slow people down and, of course, give Blitz move speed, so he can do a lot of damage there. You know, we've seen it multiple times, actually, and I've done it myself, where just Pilfering will solo kill an opposing support if they're not able to get to a tower fast enough. And, of course, the more it goes off, the more of a problem it is. So that's really a very powerful spell right there. And, of course, the stun doesn't have the greatest range, but should be just enough for Pestilence to get in there, put the Impale on top of that, and Pilfering as well. And Blitz Pesty should be able to rack up some kills in that middle lane. It is going to be Defiler as the last pick on the Legion side, so I expect that to be, I guess, a Defiler solo bot with a Rhapsody and a mid-Bubbles and a Suicide Kraken, or a Suicide Kraken and a mid-Bubbles, one or the other. I don't expect Rack to be paired with Kraken, and she definitely won't be paired with Bubbles, so I'd like to see her in the babysit role with Defiler. Defiler sort of needs that. No escape mechanism, no slow, no stun. Does have a silence, which is kind of nice. But I don't believe she's particularly fast either, so... move speed 285, yeah, so that's a pretty serious problem. If the Hellborn side decides to man up, and it's going to be a Madman, so that's probably just going to be a straight Suicide Madman. So I doubt they're going to man up here, but it's possible. They could run that Pesty Blitz lane up on the bottom and try to contest that Defiler, and with those two heroes, they could certainly do that. They could certainly get some kills out of that. So Defiler likely going to be the most beneficial recipient of that Rhapsody support. And of course, Defiler, another strong pusher, getting that ultimate up, she will just destroy towers. Can occasionally even take a couple of towers in succession with one ultimate if you time it right. But so far, I think Hellborn's slightly favored just because Defiler's not a hero we see all that often, and I'm sort of not sure how well she's going to do. I don't know if there's... I mean, there's actually a fair bit of lockdown here between Rhapsody, Ophelia, Bubbles, and Kraken. You know, two ults on Bubbles and Kraken, and then Ophelia minions having various stuns and slows, and then of course staccato stuns from Rhapsody. So she might be able to get quite a bit of damage out. That's usually Defiler's big problem is she's pretty okay at chasing once that Witch's Enchantment or whatever, Power and Death. Yeah, there you go. Once that manages to get level up, of course, she does have some pretty solid move speed, and we'll be able to get her on the map very effectively, chase people down. But she doesn't have that much sustained damage, not a super hard right-click carry. Once she has that ult up, she'll be doing a ton of damage, and the wave does plenty. But once again, you know, no slow, no stun, so it's a little harder for her to chase people down. So having that support from her teammates will do quite a lot. Up here, there are 4 gathered, making sure that the Legion does not ward anything. Tempest looking for a clear jungle, and he will get that, as nobody on the Legion side is headed up there, except for Bubbles, who will presumably be extremely careful with his decision-making to make sure he does not get first blooded. There is a lane ward up here from, it looks Slither? No, Tank Effect on Blitz, that makes more sense. To see who they get, and they will give plenty of vision of this Bubbles. And if he does decide to initiate, there's both Tempest and Slither here, and with a really good play, they might be able to get a kill, but I would not expect Bubbles to die here, even though he is going to get spotted out coming into the jungle, and actually is, I think, going to see Tempest and or Slither there and decide, not worth it, I'm just going to leave here. So it is, in fact, going to be a Rhapsody Kraken middle. Not a huge fan of this, because like I said before, you know, Kraken really needs levels, even more than he needs farm, he just needs levels to make sure that he maximizes how quickly he gets those spells, just because they're all really powerful and you want them all maxed as quickly as possible. And for actually leeching experience here, he's not going to level as quickly as he really sort of needs to. It's interesting. But, so we'll see how that does. Staccato stuns onto Pestilence, but of course nothing really major. He's going to eat a tree here and come right back to his lane. On bottom, meanwhile, Madman has immediately taken lane control, pushing the creep wave right back to under his tower. Wave and Death coming out from Defiler, and that's probably what's helping, as Defiler at this point is likely trying to get the creep wave under the tower so that it will push itself back. Madman using that Rift, or that Stalk, excuse me, Rift Stalk. I see some of his Grenex that you think Rift Stalk. Defiler going to take a bunch of damage from the tower. And actually, he's at less than half, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. Madman can do a surprising amount of damage early on and relatively quickly. And Defiler's not that tanky before she starts to get some earlier items. So she could be in for a world of hurt if she takes a little more harassment. As Madman will be able to chase her down relatively easily. And continued, spam of that stock ability, getting some damage onto Defiler. There it is, and once again. So as that continues to happen, and now he's just going straight after Defiler. Meanwhile, in middle, actually, Adro gets picked off as she gets a Blitz and Pilfering and an Impale Stone, and that's just going to be too much there. Meanwhile, on bot, once again, Defiler taking a bunch over here, and she will die. So that was the concern I had. Like I said, she is relatively slow, no stun, no escape mechanism, and as a result, she dies to Madman here because that's sort of what's going to happen. Like, if you put a Defiler solo short against anything with any semblance of kill potential, she's going to die because she just can't do anything to stop it. Wave and Death going to do some damage here to Madman, but just a Catman champion. He's going to stalk away, and he'll be totally fine. Should have his bottle relatively soon, if not already, and it is, I believe, coming down the courier. Yes, 2 bottles in the courier. In fact, I assume 1 for Pesty as well, as, of course, they did get that pick off in mid. So, pretty substantial early lead here coming out here for the Hellborn side. 1200 golden experience, and doing quite well in the farm game with everybody over 250 gold per minute. In fact, Slither's the lowest, was the lowest now, as both Blitz and Tempest fall below in that short lane. As once again, Balthazar falls. This time with some Blitz support coming in and the stun and the Pilfering going on, and just there's nothing Defiler can do here. So I really, like I said before, I really question the decision to put Rhapsody middle. It doesn't feel like Kraken needed it. Even if he got Blitz, stun, and Pilfered, and Impaled to take all his movement speed, it's pretty hard to kill him just because he is that tanky. And then Charge Away, of course, provides a reliable escape mechanism, so you can get away. He doesn't need this Rhapsody, and I'm not sure how much they can even do together, because like the staccato to set up the charge is nice, but and Kraken does do plenty of damage, but he probably won't be able to kill Pesty as the stun comes out onto Rhapsody once again. Charge Away onto Pestilence, try to prevent the Unveil. That's going to do well, but he's got the Pilfering on Rap, and staccato stuns onto Blitz to try to help something. Pestilence deciding it's not worth it to die the tower, but that's basically what they have to do here. Is Hellborn can be mildly aggressive, and everything has to come out on the part of Legion in order to save that Rap. So it really has to be in a situation where Rhapsody cannot take a stun. As up here, actually, Blitz is going to be in some trouble with Bubbles coming in here, but not going to be able to kill. Haste Rune's going to get picked up by Kraken. So some good rune luck there, as bot was, in fact, guarded by Madman. And the Legion sort of need that to I don't even want to say get back into this game, but sort of, like, look, that's already a pretty substantial golden experience lead here for the Hellborn side, as, look at the GPM curves once again. Blitz has the same form as the Solar Short, Defiler, and once again, Madman's up there just, like, beating on her, and doesn't even care. Ophelia's going to come in from the side, but Madman's easily going to see her. She has a Skeleton King, which is sort of nice, but they just can't kill him, because even with the Defiler's Silence, which actually isn't even leveled, so she doesn't have it, there's not even close to enough lockdown to kill this Madman unless he has, like, no health, and then he wouldn't be in lane. Blitz coming in from the side here, gonna be able to pick off this Defiler, as there's the stun followed after the barrel roll and the Pilfering, and there goes another kill onto Zibei. Balthazar just getting wrecked in the spot lane now, below 200 gold per minute, as everybody on the Legion's or Hellborn side is above 200 GPM, so their short laner now getting out front by everybody on the Hellborn side. Kraken the only one doing any kind of good at 315 GPM. Top lane, meanwhile, has a tower push, so already we're seeing some Tempest Elementals do some damage against this this Suicide Bubbles. Tempest's going to take some damage there. Going to choose not to pursue this tower push for a while, but might lose this Elemental and might not. Looks like he won't. Going to have it split before it dies. That one's not going to die either, so good. Both of these should split. Nope, relatively soon. Not going to happen, in fact. So they're going to try to finish off this tower here. And we'll at least be able to get it very low. Shell Surf coming out, try to clean up some more stuff. This is going to be in deny range. Poison Spray coming out onto Bubbles. He has no Shell Surf, of course, so he's going to take a ton of damage here and fall. And the top tower is going to finish off as Blitz and Slither are going to kill it. Glyph of Fortification actually coming out, becoming a bit of a problem. But he does manage to pick that off. Balthazar once again falling, this time to a solo Madman, as he just is going to come in. There's the stock and the barrel and dead. So,
Nemesis.
yeah, it didn't really feel like Defiler fit that well into this lineup, but I think the bigger problem was not putting Rhapsody down there on top of her. She really needed that wrap to prevent Madman from doing exactly what he did. As in middle Kraken could be in a little trouble, not going to be though. And Hellborn is just sort of taken master control of this game as they sit at 4.3k gold and almost 4k experience. Impale stun on a Kraken, followed by the Pilfering and the stun from Blitz, so they're going to anticipate the charge here, of course. The Kraken, yep, doing exactly that, hoping to get taken with as Pesty finishes him off, but actually Zibby finishes him off with a barrel roll. Kill stealing a little bit there, as Pesty did have the kill. Meanwhile, up here on top, Adriel and that Rhapsody going to be able to finish off Tempest in the jungle, but now going to die herself. So a good trade. Certainly willing to take that 335 GPM Tempest, but now Oaf's in a ton of trouble. Skeleton King that comes out. Stomper the Minotaur's way too early. Impale stun, and now she's dead. Quicken for Pestilence, but not even needed. Hort coming in here, and that's a bit of a problem. Poison Spray. Not quite. There it is. Gonna hit Kraken, and now Kraken's dead. So, not a good decision by Kraken. Both to port in to where he did, you know, specifically on the front side of the tower, and to continue the port, not to cancel it once he saw there were 4 heroes here. So I don't know why he continued going through that port, but he did, and he paid for it. It's pretty easy to see that one coming. Probably could have finished off that Ballista earlier there, Tempest. Oh well. So Legion team really gonna have to try to find their footing here. What they need to do, I think, at this point is group up and push. Get a level 6 on a Kraken or Rhapsody, and Ophelia for that matter, and then just start taking a bunch of towers. Their push is a little stronger than the Hellborns, and Hellborn's anti-push isn't that great. Poison Spray going to hit 2, along with the Poison Burst, actually going to get 3. Rhapsody's going to fall here, despite the Staccato stun, not going to be nearly enough. Kelpfield coming out onto 2, but Bubbles falls as well. Kraken over here dies to Pestilence, and Bugs onto Ophelia. Now she's in tons of trouble. Minotaur not going to do anything. So, port in from Defiler, as that's just nothing. And now Defiler's in some trouble. There's a barrel roll coming out onto her. Madman's taking a bunch of tower damage here, but they don't even care at this point. They can dive really heavy. Port coming in here, that's, I guess, Rhapsody. Yep, and somebody else, Bubbles. So, Kraken, in fact. So the Hellborn side is going to run away, but Tempest manages to take bottom tower all by himself, as there's just too much of a response necessary in middle for them to do anything about it on Legion. And they might be able to get a tower kill here. There's the Defiler ultimate, so this will be a tower kill barring a glyph. Possibly not even barring a glyph. And so finally they're going to use some of their pushing power here to do something. And I think at this point they basically just need to train and look to use their numerous AoE teamfight ultimates to grab some kills. Defiler's is already wearing off though. It's wrong one. 2 seconds. 1 second, and now it's gone. So now they're going to be in some trouble in terms of the team fight. There's no more Defiler ultimate. Kelpfield is coming back up, but of course Kraken, Rhapsody, and Ophelia don't even have their ultimates yet, so that's a bit of an issue. Madman over here going to find Kraken, but the Ward actually is going to see him too, as the Legion have placed the lane Ward. And so the Hellborn for that matter. Charge coming out onto nothing, so that's going to take some bugs from Kraken. Impale's on top of that barrel. We're going to hit 3, in fact, as Kraken's taking a bunch of damage, doing a lot of heal from the dance floor though. Torrent comes out onto Madman, but that's not going to be enough. Kelpfield onto 2, Pesty and Madman here. Energizer is going to get popped. Ultimate from Pestilence finally going to go off as he catches 2 here. So their ultimate, or Poison Spray, going to hit both of them, and Defiler will go down on top of Ophelia. Bubbles trying to get away, but not going to happen. Take cover going here, but not going to be nearly enough, so Let's QQ on that Pestilence did get, on the Pestilence, excuse me, did get picked off, but small price to pay for what ended up being I think a 5 hero wipe. Kraken did die there. Poison Spray and the Toxicity and the Poison Burst, I think, hit Kraken. I'm not entirely sure. It did not. But now, port back onto Kraken actually might not even be enough. Yep, there it is. So, I don't know why the hell there was a taunt on the Slither there, but that's what happens with toxicity buff, pretty much destroying your ability to regen, and then having a couple more ticks on that poison spray. So, obviously Hellborn new team in full control of the goal here. Barrel roll onto 2, Bugs comes out onto Bubbles actually, but he managed to get the Shell Surf away and he will survive. Ophelia falls in his stead, and now Bubbles isn't even going to survive. Just too much movement speed with that Energizer in stock coming out from Madman. Dance Floor, he's going to sit on top of it and bait him out. Come at me, bro. And Kraken and Rhapsody will do just that, still at level 5. And now everybody on the Hellborn side is out farming everybody on the Legion side. And if this gets much worse, Slither and or Madman might be out farming the entire Legion team by themselves. So 12 minutes into this game, we're looking at a relatively early CC. Glacial Blast onto Kraken, and he's dead. Newerth's Blessing really doing nothing there. Actually, I think it came out just as he died, so it didn't even help him. Oath taking over some Hellborn creeps, trying to delay this push a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. This mid tower is going down. Quicken onto Pestilence, going to miss the Impel Stun. Defiler Ultimate coming out here, so they're going to be able to push back a little bit. Dance Floor on top of that, and the way of the death does hit Pestilence, or Tempest, but Oath is going to take the stun. No, sorry, that was Bubbles taking the stun. Staccato Stun's onto Haxorn on Slew, though, so he's going to fall. As a ward goes down to the Hellborn side. Impel Stun onto Defiler, and Defiler's now in tons of trouble as he... Oh, the Rhapsody Ultimate actually doing a lot to save her. Kraken Ultimate also going to fall as she gets ported back on that Defiler, but Ophelia going to fall as well, and there goes Rhapsody. Kraken, the last, and there it is. As Haxorn on that Slither buys out. So, hat-trick there for Zibe on Madman. And, well, that's sort of a problem now, isn't it? Game was fun. Energizer on the Bubbles. He's going to be able to get on there with a Shell Surf, though. And he puts the Kelp Bill down, actually, which causes the stun from Madman because he did go out of it for a second in that barrel roll. They're looking for a kill on the Blitz. He's relatively squishy, but with the Quicken and the Energizer, he's so damn fast. Shell Surf in absolutely the wrong direction for Bubbles, and he's going to fall. Barrel roll onto 2, that's going to help out Blitz some. Staccato Stun at the end. And is he going to die? No! Immortal for Zibe on Madman. Meanwhile, Fitspell goes down here in the middle lane. I thought Kraken would die a little bit faster. And there he does, but he does manage to pick off Tank on that Blitz. So, Zibe's at 600 GPM, which is, we are now approaching the I'm out farming the entire opposing team point. As if he can get around 700 and lower them a little bit on Legion, then he could be in that position. That's to say the least. Not really something you want to be doing if you're the opposing team. Just giving one person on the other side as much farm as your entire team. As in my experience, not a winning strategy. Don't know what you guys have done, but I know, I don't think I've ever won a game where that's happened, and I think every game where that has happened on my team, they've won. Impel Stun on Trio, new portal key from Pestilence. Madman's just going to kill everything. Shell Surf gets Bubbles away, but Defiler's in a ton of trouble here. He does have the ultimate out, so he's doing some damage. Energizer, though, Kelpfield actually comes out. It's going to lock everybody down. They're just going to wait for it to expire. Release of Kraken actually hits a bunch of them, including mostly Pestilence, who's trying to get out of it, but he has the Flight active, so that's very helpful. Bugs onto Ophelia, and they're going to be able to chase her down. Kraken over here, meanwhile, getting beat on by Madman. He's dead. Ophelia going to take the Impel Stun from Pestilence, and now she's going to get chased down. I think Madman's double damage. Nope, he's not double damage. That was just quick. And he's trying to take down this Defiler, but she's a little tanky. Glacial Blast on her, though, and that's going to be enough to lock her down. She falls once again. As Baltazar's 2-6-0, Brodix is 1-9-0, that's going to be the game. Man, another Immortal. So Zibe goes 18-0. 19-0. Get an Annihilation, Zibe. Nobody's alive. So he does finish the game, I believe. Yes, I believe higher GPM than everybody. Not quite. Close, but not quite. Yeah. I think a lot of this stemmed from NK being a better team. I think a lot of it stemmed from the decision to put Rhapsody in the middle with Kraken instead of bottom with Balthazar, where he just got crapped on, and Zibe had absolute control of that lane way too early. So that's, I think, where most of the problem in this game came from. But there's no question that this was a pretty complete loss by the Legion side and a pretty complete win by the Hellborn side. So that's pretty much all there is to say about that, and that wraps up the series as the guys on NK take it 2-0 over Sweet Like Ice.